So now that we've covered some of the basics, let me just say we're thrilled you've joined us today. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our speakers. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Mike O'Day is the Director of North American Sales for Teleste, an international technology group specialized in broadband video and data communication systems and services. Prior to his current role at Teleste, Mike had a background in the municipal public safety markets as a trusted advisor on leveraging physical security information management. His expertise is centered around capturing, developing, and managing business opportunities in markets needing complex solutions. He joined Teleste in 2014 to leverage his business development and management experiences to drive and lead market expansion throughout North America. We're honored to have Teleste as one of our technology partners and thrilled to have Mike with us today. So without further ado, Mike, the floor is yours.
Good morning and thank you. Teleste is the video solution platform for the Chicago Transit Authority and had been working with Sentry 360 the past few years as they've deployed some of their newest cutting-edge technology. So to begin, I'm going to give a short overview of the company, what the platform actually does at CTA, the complexities of that environment, and how it has changed over time. And then we'll transition into Tom, who will give you a background more on the cameras and their technology. Teleste was founded over 60 years ago in Finland. We currently have over 1,300 staff members globally. We have systems in 27 countries currently, and we focus on full end-to-end video surveillance network solutions, including ruggedized encoders, decoders, switches, NVRs, VMS, and professional services when needed. The latest focal point for our releases have been the mobile NVRs for buses and rail, and we're one of the largest global leaders for the provisioning of integrated CCTV systems. As far as this client, the history of the CTA began in 1859 as a horse car service. First rail line began in 1892, and the actual operating entity of CTA was formed in 1947. Today, they're the second largest public transportation system in the United States. Over 1.7 million riders per day, and 1,356 rail cars operating in 8 routes. That number is growing as they are taking delivery of new cars on a regular basis. Just under 1,900 buses operating 127 routes, and they have about 2,100 trips each day and serve 145 stations, so truly a massive operation. Their security challenges over the years have come from what most agencies have seen, a typical need for more safety and security, rising crime rates, and terrorism threats post 9/11. The city hosts a tremendous amount of very large events, so constant need for safety and security is on the top of everyone's mind. Along with this, needing to have a good quality response time for emergency situations whenever they occur. And they've taken a proactive approach over the years. Buses started to be equipped with cameras in 2003. They did the first IP-based Teleste system, started in 2005 on rail cars and in the stations. And this expansion continues with new cameras being introduced regularly and new NVRs being upgraded continually. Objectives of the Teleste deployment was the ability to stop crime as it's happening, to be able to quickly and optimize criminal investigations, and reduce risk to the overall agency, not just security, but also operationally. Another need was to be able to share the video throughout the interagency and ultimately with external agencies as well, and needing to have a system that was fully scalable no matter how large that they would grow. At the time, when everything was being architected over the years, they always knew that there would be more and more cameras added, but that there was never a total number in mind. And as technology has evolved and the cameras have gotten more sophisticated, the system has been able to integrate and manage everything from a single platform, which was the primary reason Teleste was selected by CTA. Today, the system for the wayside areas, such as rail platforms, ticket areas, bridges, and tunnels and such, are over 4,000 cameras spread across 146 stations. 2+ petabytes of distributed storage. The rail yards are at 2,000 plus cameras and garages. And the rail system, which we're talking about mostly today, is 3,600 plus cameras, over 900 cars, being used with the Sentry 360 cameras are the mobile NVRs from Teleste. The live and recorded video is accessible over wireless links, and everything is integrated into a single VMS system back at the headquarters and their various operating centers. Here's an example of all the different systems that are brought together into the main VMX: platforms, tunnels, rail yards, buses, garages, bridges, access points, ticket halls, etc. all feed back into the central VMX platform, accessible to the main center, and now mobily with the new VMX system that's being deployed. The 7.0 release will have a web-based platform for all of the sharing internally and externally. On the Railcars, there's also 3G connections to be able to offload the video when needed. There is a platform also for wireless downloading at the rail yards, and everything will be stored locally and then also back at the head-end system. Here's an example of all the technologies that are a part of the rail cars. Everything from rail supplies, the mobile NVR, Ethernet switch, and the various wireless transmission devices all incorporated into a radio that is assembled inside one area with the NVR, and all of the 360 cameras that are fed through the switch into the system. Here's a rail car deployment, which I believe Tom will be showing shortly. But it looks like we have 4 cameras per car, but I'll let him confirm that. This is where the front end of the vehicle is where the Teleste NVR is stored. And here's an example of the display. Here's Tom's cameras up here on the top. And over on the right is the fold-down panel where the mobile NVRs are stored. They are stored with an anti-vibration mounting kit to help ensure the most stability for the devices. The solutions provided in the rail cars are IRIS certified. And here's a summary of all that happens in the platform for the cars and the main system. We have mobile recording. There's actually live monitoring of the mobile devices. We're also bringing in information from GPS for locations of vehicles. There is encryption across all the exported videos. We do receive video alarms coming from the various sensors and devices that are out on board. There is a metadata database for storage also as well. And the offload process is done automatically. It can be done manually or on demand. And a summary of the features listed here. You can view live video and control cameras across the network, searching, of course, live and for recorded videos, and then sharing the videos with different organizations internally and then externally as well across the city. And also we have multicasting support in this deployment where only video streams being viewed or transmitted over the network. Multiple users can simultaneously view the same streams. And a listing of overall benefits that they did to achieve include integration with the rail cars into the main wayside system, so a single holistic platform for all cameras and all recording. This has been able to generate tremendous amounts of improvements on response time in cases of emergency and whenever information needs to be researched and found for investigators. The continual expansion of the system since 2005 has brought this in excess of 10,000 cameras and is continuing to grow. And as seen at the bottom, the direct impact on crime has been tremendous. 30% drop in robberies and violent crime, down 30%. And Tom will have some very interesting, compelling, interesting story coverage for the media and such that will explain further how the cameras and the video management system has helped benefit this tremendous client.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for that look into the video management side of this deployment. As we get ready for our second speaker, I just wanted to thank those of you who have been submitting questions so far. Wanted to encourage you to continue to do so. We will have some time at the end to answer those questions. Okay, our second speaker today is Thomas Carnevale. Thomas is the CEO and President of Sentry 360, a U.S.-based manufacturer of IP surveillance cameras. Thomas founded Sentry 360 out of a basement in 2004, and nearly 10 years later, it is one of the fastest-growing IP camera manufacturers in the industry, with a growth rate of over 300% in the last 24 months. Thomas has a background in the telecommunications industry, security system design and engineering, and IP video convergence. Aside from his duties at Sentry 360, he is also an active consultant at the Gerson Lehman Group, where he is a scholar-level consultant for investment leaders in North America, Asia, and Europe. Additionally, Thomas is a frequent speaker at large industry-related events throughout the year. Our second speaker today, Thomas Carnevale.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mike, what a great start to a great story we're telling everyone today. So thanks for the introduction, sir. My name is Tom Carnevale, Sentry 360. I want to first start by saying is all of you that are in attendance today who are in the business of creating solutions for your customers, I hope one day you have a customer like the Chicago Transit Authority. And I say that with all honesty. The CTA is a solutions-oriented, interested, hands-on end user that had a problem. They recognized the flaws in their existing system, knew that they had to keep up with the pace of technology, and then thought through the years ahead into the future. How are they going to maintain? How are they going to scale? How are they going to grow their system? And the CTA's team, technical team, led by Herb Nitz, is really hands-on in working with solutions providers to create what works best for them in their environment. So I really hope that one day all of you get to experience what I've had the joy of experiencing over this past several years and working hands-on with a customer like this that's really interested in staying on top of technology, yet driving and planning for the future. So I'm just going to give you a really brief, for those of you who don't know who Sentry 360 is, a brief overview of us. So we were founded in 2004. We are a U.S.-based, U.S.-made manufacturer of video surveillance cameras. So in our industry, that is somewhat of a rare claim, but we're very proud to be manufacturing, creating, developing hardware for the video surveillance industry in the United States. We pride ourselves in having a simple yet diverse product line. So our entire product line is very simple. It's comprised of HD, Ultra HD, 180-degree, and 360-degree cameras. So we don't have 15 different part numbers for every make and model. We keep it very simple and concise for the user to understand what product is designed for what application. We've won 2 industry awards in the past 6 months. It seems like we're picking up a little momentum lately. The first industry is for a non-360-degree camera, our 14-megapixel H.264 ONBIF compliant Ultra HD camera, which we won Best Product of the Year from Security Products Magazine last year. And at the beginning of this year, we won another award, and it's actually for our first non-camera product. It is for a server switch and storage, our Sentry Edge system. And Sentry Edge is an open platform. It supports all of our compatible VMS software partners and really gives us the full capability of integrating not having to rely upon a server or just a switch or any other components, but having it all in one. So our Insight product line, one of the inherent problems with analog is that when you digitally zoom into a system, you then have the issue of having pixelation. So Ultra HD delivers is the ability to forensically zoom into multiple areas of interest within the field of view, but still maintaining enough pixels per foot or pixels on target to identify factual pieces of information. So what are those? License plates and identifiable feature sets of faces. So in the example we're seeing on the screen right now, this is a 14-megapixel camera with a 25-millimeter machine vision lens. So we're able to zoom into this image interactively and see all of the different areas of forensic plates, even in different lighting conditions like shadows and light. So our full site, this is how we started our company. Sentry 360 obviously develops 360-degree immersive imaging technology. One of our biggest value propositions is that we invented a software development kit that creates the ability to dewarp, which we'll explain in a minute. that SDK was the critical bridge in order for this solution that the CTA envisioned to work. So what Teleste did was an excellent job with integrating our SDK toolkit to enable client-side dewarping. And so the rest of and I'll explain what dewarping is here in a second, but resolutions from 3 to 14 megapixel, especially with the CTA, they wanted a low-profile, small, compact camera that could be easily retrofitted and installed into a railcar environment. They didn't want hidden cables. They didn't want it to protrude down into the environment. They wanted a very small, low-profile camera. But the rest of our product line is made for rail, bus, indoor, outdoor, pole mounting, lobbies, all sorts of things. So dewarping is the ability to correct a fisheye user perspective view. So on the right, what you're seeing is the original source view. So this is the native high-resolution image sending to the Teleste NVR to record in the best resolution, best frame rate that the user configures. On the left, you're seeing the corrected views. So if I'm a CTA operator, I can look at a crime. If someone stole an iPhone out of a commuter's hand while they're riding a live rail car, we're seeing a top-down view of everything that happened, and then we can correct that view and make it look like a directional camera and immersively pan, tilt, and zoom in recorded video to see the entire situation, where the suspect came from, where he went to, who he interacted with. Was he working with another party? Was there multiple criminals working simultaneously? Were there multiple incidents happening simultaneously? This gives them the ability to literally be in the area when it happened, and gives you the ability to pan, tilt, and zoom in recorded video. And we'll see in the next slide some of the benefits. You do not need to have multiple cameras stitched together. It's one source image, and then you correctively pan, tilt, and zoom. Other types of cameras require you to highlight multiple streams coming from that single camera. And what that does is it increases bandwidth. It increases storage requirements. With using the SDK properly integrated with the VMS platform, it allows that user to create multiple subsections of the same stream without increasing bandwidth or storage. It allows them to do their investigation without exploiting their CPU or GPU or their processing power, but allows a true investigation to happen. And that was the key component. I remember back in 2008 when the CTA first saw this technology, I heard the same thing that so many users told us. They said, we love this technology, but if it doesn't work on my existing system, if I don't have the same functionality that you're showing me in this demonstration, it's not going to work. By the time we met the CTA, they had already made a 3-year investment in the Teleste platform. And they already, there was no way, they would rather stick with older camera technology or traditional camera technology than have to, switch platforms or do a different investment. So that's why it was so amazing about the beginning, the genesis of this solution, was that we had a VMS partner in Teleste that was willing to put in the work to integrate our SDK and give the end user the experience that they wanted. So here, I'm going to talk over this video while it's playing. So this is a great bus application. Now, the progress with the CTA has expanded outside of the rail cars to go into platforms and their mobile vehicles, such as buses as well. And this is a great example of showing the camera mounted in the middle of the area, and then segmented areas of the dewarping can be targeted in pan, tilt, and zoom. So you can have some operators just completely eliminate the fisheye view altogether and just show them multiple direct views coming from the source image, or you can have true navigation that allows the user to be inside, talking to investigators, talking to the Chicago Police Department, talking to the investigative team with the CTA. It was very critical that they had the ability to look at multiple angles, because users, we live in a world today where You know, for good or for bad, people are looking down and not up. People are looking down at their iPads, at their tablets, and at their phones, and too often people aren't looking up. So it's important to be able to correct that view and have the ability to see what's in their hands, see what's going on, especially in this narrow real estate we're dealing with, like on a bus or a train platform. So this is also important for us to know is that since 2008, we've successfully integrated that special SDK with a variety of different video management solutions. But Teleste was the pioneer in integrating our SDK, and we're really proud of our partner in the solution that we provided the CTA. So we'll move on to the next slide from here. Okay, so let's get into some of the X's and O's here. In July of 2014, was the first 6 months after the installation of their 4,500 plus cameras that were installed in their retrofit project that we worked with the CTA on. And so after the first 6 months, they did an analysis of what happened, you know, operationally to improve based on the investment they made, you know, the Homeland Security money that was spent by CTA. So before that, as Mike also pointed out, CTA is the second largest public transportation system in the country, and we have a very unique kind of architecture in Chicago. We do not have, like New York City, the subways where you go down, or London where you go down stairs and there's an underground subway system. Ours is above ground, which is very interesting. So you see here, this is Lake Street in Chicago, this image. You have these suspended above ground rail cars going all throughout the city, which gives Chicago a little bit of its unique architecture, but it's also very challenging because every rail car has to be, because of the architecture, has to be powered by the third rail. There's also 1.7 million rides taken daily. So there's probably a lot more than 1.7 million commuters every single day that's riding the CTA. So another big part of the 1 year pilot was that because the rail cars were powered by the third rail, Chicago has varying environmental conditions. The last winter was a very good example for us, and we had the coldest winter, I believe, that was on record for 90 years, with temperatures going down to, in some cases, negative 20 degrees. So when a rail car in the CTA is not in operation, it gets taken off the third rail and parked. And so what happens is power stops to the system. So the system needs to automatically boot and reboot. But most importantly is that the cameras can't freeze and create, you know, any kind of fluid. So oftentimes when machines get hot, they create fluid and can damage the internal circuits of the camera. So that was part of the test, along with humidity and vibration, which was a very key element of the year-long pilot that they did with our product and many other products to define which one was going to be right for their conditions. So their original design was, if you see here, each rail car is 50 feet in length from east to west, and there are 2 areas of doors on both cars. So to the left, you'll see there's a north and a south door, automatic door, and then to the west, there's another set of doors in equal distance to each other. So the original design was to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cameras per rail car. Now this was based on analog VGA resolution technology, and the goal was to have as little blind spots as possible with these automatic doors, because at some stops the commuters will get off, the automatic doors will open on the right, and some stops they'll open on the left. So it's important that every angle is covered no matter what direction traffic goes, okay? And there's a lot of things that can happen in a small amount of real estate with so many people. So we were able to prove that in our next slide. So here's some of the more X's and O's. There was 800 total cars and 8 cameras per car, so there was about $6,400. These are cost estimates that were we're doing. So on the assumption of a $500 installed cost, that's $3.2 million with 6,400 cameras. So you have to consider bandwidth. You have to consider the installation, the Chicago union labor installation, that cost per car of pulling 8 cables to a head-end system and configuring it, and then approximately total of 400 terabytes of storage for this amount of 800 rail cars. Let's move on. So they decided against that. So in some of the cars, we are using this solution. In others, they decided to actually add redundant cameras as well. But it's important to have the north, south, east, west coverage of the 360-degree cameras strategically located in parallel to each other with these 2 door openings. So we have the full overlapping, and each camera that's above the entrances and exits can still see to the middle of the cars. So this is a great solution. They actually have 2 configurations, some with 2 cameras, some with 4 cameras as well. So our selection was the CTGA selection was the FSIP 3000M. That is a 3.1 megapixel 2048 by 1536 resolution. 800 cars were retrofitted. Now there's up to 2,500 cars they're going to do. There's still a big legacy left of analog, and there's more cars to retrofit. And there's also brand new architecture cars that they're bringing in rotation, as Mike mentioned, very soon. So there's a total, our camera count was a total of 1,600 cameras for phase 1, reduction of 4,800 cameras. So 1,600 cameras was approximately installed $500, $800,000 total cost savings of $2.4 million. So in addition to that, that's 2 video streams per car, 2 megabits per second, and a total of 200 terabytes of storage. But the most important thing was the elimination of blind spots for this user. They wanted to reduce blind spots and make sure whatever happened on board this rail car that they were going to have, and obviously, as we previously mentioned, aesthetics and a low-profile camera design was critical. So overall benefits, scalability, flexibility, the ability to add cameras at will. So if they decided, actually when they first started, they wanted 2 cameras, but they actually decided that they wanted some more coverage, so they went to a 4-camera model. There are wireless capabilities. So there's the CTA headquarters has their own command control operation, which can view any live operational car in real time through their 3G connection, and can view live images. There's also a massive reduction in investigation time. So think about it. If we have an incident that happened on board a car, the user would have to sift through different angles from different cameras to see everything that they needed to see. So that's going to take a lot more time if you're doing it with multiple angles as opposed to pan, tilt, and zooming with 1 camera. So we've obviously proven the cost effectiveness, reliability as well. So HD is everywhere, and we need it to also be in surveillance. And here are some extra, in these next few slides, some extra examples of what some of the results are of Ultra HD and HD surveillance cameras. So these are non-360, obviously, examples here in the PowerPoint. And if we go to slide 23, this is really something I'm just proud of. This isn't, so I want to be clear. This was not a test or a number that Sentry 360 or Teleste came up with. Chicago Police Department independently did a 6-month evaluation from the first half of 2013 to the first half of 2014, and they came up with some amazing results. Number 1, the violent crimes were down 34%. Robbery, and what's very big is purse, phone, accessories being stolen on board these rail cars. Now, this is specific to rail cars. These statistics here are specific to CTA rail car crime reduction. Aggravated assault down 6.4%. Aggravated battery was also down. So after the CPD did this analysis, Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of the city of Chicago, along with Forrest Claypool, the the CEO of the CTA, and Nancy Littman, the commander of the Chicago Police Department, did a press conference, obviously announcing, and rightfully so, very proud of their city's surveillance investment. And you can see right there, we're happy to see our little 360 camera is actually securing the press conference. What's also very interesting is that this entire solution is evolving, and they're using it to, in some ways, get a little bit of a return on investment. There's a significant level of vandalism that occurs on board these rail cars. So, people, marker or paint or spray paint vandalizing the interior, or other techniques vandalizing the interior of these rail cars. So there's an initiative to actually go after and ticket these violators. And as you can see here, this was a public example made with all the dewarped sections of our 360 camera that the news, the CTA released publicly to the news media, showing them how they caught multiple vandals simultaneously through all the segmented dewarped angles of our 360 camera. So we were really proud of that, and wanted to show that experience. So next up, we're really excited with so many questions. We're going to get to that too, so I want to make sure to allocate the time. We do have a short minute and 45-second video to show the audience, and then we'll start with Q&A. Thanks, everyone.
If you ride a bus or train in Chicago, you are being videotaped by surveillance cameras. Every bus and every train is now equipped with recording capability. Chicago is on the front lines of crime fighting through surveillance video. NBC5's Rob Elgas joins us now with an exclusive behind-the-scenes report. Rob?
Last year, CTA video cameras helped police arrest nearly 300 criminals. Some were petty pickpocketers, others were suspected murderers. Today, there are more than 25,000 cameras on buses, trains, and platforms, and the way they're recording video is something the city of Chicago has never experienced before.
Every day, 1.7 million rides are provided by the CTA, and for the first time in the agency's history, all of those rides are being tracked and recorded by surveillance cameras.
We want each and every one to be safe and secure. That's the goal, and we're getting closer to doing that.
Closer because of jaw-dropping advances in technology.
Now HD is everywhere, but HD needs to also be in surveillance.
10 years ago, in his dad's suburban basement, Tom Carnevale started Sentry 360.
Your cameras are going to capture crimes on those trains
In real time.
The Naperville native has transformed the CTA's fight to curb crime, helping outfit thousands of rail cars with cutting-edge 360-degree high-definition cameras. 2
cameras up to 4 can cover everything. So when you're walking into a train car, they see what's in your hands. It can track you to what seat it goes to.
Sentry 360 calls it dewarping. It takes the fisheye lens and smooths it out. The picture quality is better than most HD home televisions.
It's kind of nice to not notice them, but the fact that they see everything is good to know.
Most commuters barely notice and applaud the eye in the sky.
Certainly want to catch as many folks who are not abiding by the law as possible, and if those cameras will help in that regard, that's a good thing.
They already have.
Just this year, what have these cameras done?
This year alone, we've had more than 40 arrests that have been video assisted, and many of these arrests would not have occurred had we not had video.
And in relation to our top story tonight, the CTA is reviewing cameras that recorded the O'Hare derailment. There were cameras inside the rail cars and on those platforms. They will likely help investigators piece together exactly what happened. Rob?
Some impressive technology. Thanks, Rob.